politics. That's what we've seen for the last 9.5 years. I hear you saying it's going to change, but we are on the same page that it hasn't been that way, right? I think that part we do
Yes.
agree on.
What's going on, you guys? Today we have David Pakman, the man of the people, confronting the slime ball, Cenk Uygur. He's groveling to the right. He was at TP USA, and it's terrible. David Pakman is about to scold him. Gonna call him out for all of that mess. Let's watch it right now.
Great to welcome back to the show Cenk Uygur, host of The Young Turks, author of the book Justice is Coming. Cenk, I'm so glad to have an opportunity to just have you on and to talk directly with you. You know, last time we had you on, you were on with Destiny, and we talked about some of the things we're going to talk about today, but I just want to talk to you directly. I want to first just kind of explain my understanding of the controversy that's surrounding you. And if I get anything wrong, you tell me. This all kind of started with some tweets involving Don Jr. and Elon Musk. We talked about it, where you expressed willingness to work with whoever if you can accomplish the things that you believe are worth accomplishing. We talked a little bit about whether it's realistic or naive to think these people will help us do that, but that was sort of like part one. You appeared with Charlie Kirk at America Fest with Turning Point USA. We'll talk about the content of that, but you've also been criticized by some just for appearing there, like just that your presence there was the problem rather than your goals or being there. People are talking about a political 180 like Dave Rubin, which you've explained is not at all what this is. And then I've also seen in preparing for our talk today some conversations you had with folks that I think you were previously well acquainted and friendly with that are seeming way less friendly right now for reasons we can talk about. And a lot of people that say they are on the left don't like what you're up to. Is that a fair assessment of kind of where we are right now?
Yeah, I mean, the devil's in the details, and that's why we're having this conversation. But as a summary of where people think it stands, yeah, I think that's relatively right.
Here's my view after, knowing you for, I think 16 or years or something like that at this point, reviewing the appearance, reviewing everything you've said. I don't think there's any problem with going on right-wing shows or appearing at America Fest in principle. I think we should try to talk to the other side. My goal would be try to poach their audiences, try to expose Trump's not really the populist he claims to be or whatever. I think there's no issue there whatsoever.
Which Cenk did diddly squat for. He started like giving them back massages and like started kissing their neck and crap like that, dude. He's about to get invited to one of those little Diddy parties and crap.
If I were to just jump to my concern, it would be all the evidence to me points to these are obviously not good partners in the things we want to achieve. I'll give you an example. Of course, I want to cut military spending, Pentagon. You and I have talked about it. Why wouldn't we work with whoever wants to do that? At the same time, no matter what shows up on Twitter, it's hard to imagine that Pete Hegseth, Elise Stefanik, Huckabee, and Mike Waltz are ever going to be involved in actually doing that. And so for me, it's more about how realistic is this thing? And is there a risk that your presence through no fault of your own is used simply to degrade the left with no real shot at improving anything? That's where I would place my concern, bearing in mind that I agree with a lot of what you're doing and what you're saying.
Yeah. So let me start by acknowledging that I get why people are concerned. Like when you see a pattern, and we've seen Dave Rubin do it and others, Tulsi Gabbard do it, etc.
Yep.
And you see what appears to be the first step there, that your mind goes to the second, the third, and the 18th step. And so, like, if you're on the left and you're just see us doing this peripherally, or you hear it on a different show and they showed you a 15-second clip or something, I get why you'd be concerned, right?
Yep.
Now, I've been as clear as anyone can possibly be that that is not the path we're taking. And I kind of tore Dave Rubin's head off when Piers Morgan suggested that we make up. I've got no interest in that. And if you, and what's hilarious is people tune in the Young Turks live at 6 o'clock Eastern every day, and they go, "Wait, I don't get it. Where's the right wing turn?" They're saying things that are like super progressive, populist, left wing. What the hell are these guys talking about, right? So I would ask you to not believe people with different incentives. What's really interesting, David, is that when I go on right wing shows and other comments, tons of comments that I get is, wait a minute.
The reason why people are going to your show and expecting conservative views is because whenever they saw you at Turning Point USA right there, they saw that you were agreeing. They thought that they said, oh, we found another channel to watch. We found another person to agree with. We found another person for the echo chamber. Let's go and see. Like, if they're going to your show and they're expecting to find conservative views, that should give you all the signals you need to know on how am I expressing myself out. How am I presenting myself out in the world? What am I giving off? Like, come on, Cenk.
I think right-wing media lied to me. That's right-wingers saying it, because they say, I just saw like 15-second clip of you saying something outrageous or something that I totally disagree with that they view to be outrageous, right? But when I see you in a conversation, the left is not at all what I thought it was, right? Because the right-wing shows have historically have framed the left as the most extreme, that everyone on the left thinks that, fill in the blank, that we should release all the prisoners and not, do anything about crime, and whatever thing you could imagine that's the most extreme thing on the left. Almost all the right wing previously believed that was the entirety of the left. Everyone who voted for Biden, Kamala Harris, etc. So when they see us doing this, they're like, oh, wow. And that's ironically now the left wing shows are doing the same thing as the right wing shows did. Show 15-second clip and go, you see a slight disagreement there. Oh, that's it. He's a Nazi, he's fascist, etc. So I understand people who
Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe for more content like this.
But I do want to address the other things, because the idea that you're helping them or legitimizing them is absurd.
Okay. There's sort of like a 3-part thing that I think will build to the most important aspect of what you just said. So first of all, I think you are doing an awesome job at correctly identifying something that's a major problem for the left and that explains a lot of the right's success, which is they aren't doing, at least right now, these toxic purity tests the way that some on the left do. You've identified the right, if you agree with them on 5% and you're kind of sick of the other options, they welcome you, even if you disagree on 95% of stuff. A lot of the opposite of that is happening on the left. I think that's spot on, and I think it's awesome that you've identified that. I do want to...
And this goes back to what I'm always saying. It's the right taking anybody they can, using rhetoric to bring in anyone they can from the middle. That is going to happen and has happened countless times. It's happened since the 60s. It's happened since Reagan. It's let's get the ones who are right in the middle, and they are very, very much targeting the middle, and they've been doing it, and they're doubling down on it, and David Pakman is calling this out perfectly. Let's watch as he continues to call out Cenk Uygur.
See, I get that I'm predicting unprecedented things, but I'm doing that based on what I'm actually seeing on the ground.
Listen, my best assessment in having reviewed all of the evidence and in talking to you here is I think it's clear you're not doing a Dave Rubin. I think your heart's in the right place. I think retrospectively, here's my prediction. I'm not big on predictions. I think in a few years you'll say, I was a little naive with my expectations. And I could be wrong, you could be wrong, we don't know. I think if there's a fault here, we've seen, you're right, it's been a long time. And for 8-9 years, almost 10 years now, since Trump came down the escalator and said Mexicans are rapists, the highest value has been they ultimately do support whatever Trump wants. They don't really care about free speech or freedom or family values or money in politics. That's what we've seen for the last 9.5 years. I hear you saying it's going to change, but we are on the same page that it hasn't been that way, right? I think that part we do agree on.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
So David Pakman makes it clear again, what I've just been saying. They do not care about any of these things that they're talking about. They care about this face. They care about the actor, the person who's bigger than life. They care about this person who is just here. And Cenk doesn't necessarily get that. He's saying, hey, no, these guys are so accepting, guys. These guys are really cool, man. Maybe I should hang out with them a little bit, maybe. And the next thing you know, He's out here trashing his own people. He's not even standing, and he's looking like a complete idiot in front of everybody. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.